Well, the first Mega Man game certainly kicked my ass, and now it's time to move on to Mega Man 2. I'm looking forward to this game, and not just because it was a huge success, it was also ranked highly among many other critics and reviewers. To make things better, I'm looking at Mega Man 2 on the Virtual Console, so at last I can use some actual controls, even if the controller is the Wii U gamepad. Time to delve into the Mega Man series once more with Mega Man. Are you fucking serious? Who the hell is illustrating the box art? Some old guy that has only heard about Mega Man by word of mouth? These designs just scream outsourcing and nightmare fuel. Well, let's start this review off with the aftermath of the first Mega Man game. Though the critics did like it, it was not a commercial success. Capcom wanted to scrap the idea of the classic Mega Man series because the first game just didn't do well. You know, kinda like what Capcom is doing to classic Mega Man now. KJ Inafune, on the other hand, convinced Capcom to work on Mega Man 2 concurrently with other games that were in development. This means that Mega Man 2 was made solely on the free time of the development team. Not only that, but the sequel took only about 3 to 4 months to make and features many enhancements to Mega Man 1. That's actually really kick-ass. Being able to love your job and love your work with ambition is the cornerstone to being able to make something really good. And Mega Man 2, I'll say right now, is really good. So let's just see what makes it good. When we start up the game, we are introduced to a pretty decent opening cinematic, complete with some story text. Because Mega Man was a dumbass and didn't just shoot Dr. Wily, the old bastard is back and has created 8 new robot masters with the sole purpose of defeating Mega Man. So what do?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
No, that's what Dr. Wily's trying to do. We're gonna beat the shit out of an old guy again. What do you say, kids? Alright, let's do it. Mega Man 1 gave us a solid formula, and it shall remain present throughout the rest of the classic series. Only difference is that there's now 8 robot masters that we need to take on before we can get to Dr. Wily. Our robot masters today consist of Heat Man, Bubble Man, Air Man, Metal Man, Quick Man, Wood Man, Flash Man, and Crash Man. Each have their own stages like before and their own weapons for us to rip out of their bodies once we make them our bitches. And once again, we can choose any robot master to start with, but there's only one catch. None of these robot masters matter, except for one, Metal Man. Why? Metal Blades. Why Metal Blades?
Because they shall be used to make the world bend to our will.
No, seriously, the Metal Blades kick ass. They cost very little energy, do decent amounts of damage, and they can be fired in multiple directions. Combined with weapon energy drops that are frequent and rather generous, the Metal Blades effectively replace the Mega Buster. With the other Robot Masters, we get weapons that could be useful, but they tend to be a bit situational. Weapons from Airman, Bubble Man, and Quick Man offer up some projectiles, but they get absolutely pissed on by the Metal Blades. Crash Man gives you a bomb that's basically worthless unless it's used against these special walls. Heat Man gives you a chargeable fire attack that's actually kinda useful against a couple bosses. Woodman gives you a leaf shield that is the ultimate fuck you to groups of enemies trying to swarm you. And Flashman gives you the ability to freeze time, which is only useful against Quickman and his stage, which can be summed up as a tidal wave of middle fingers. New to this game is something that can best be described as a gift from the heavens, E-Tanks. These beautiful cans of ecstasy will refill your health at any time. This makes boss fights much easier. Anytime I see an E-Tank, I try to go out of my way to get it, but it sometimes leads into a trap. Totally worth it. Going out of your way to explore a bit can offer you goodies like E-Tanks, and if you don't, the treasures will only be viewable behind a wall that you can only wish to phase through. Another addition to Mega Man 2 are 3 items that are obtained from Dr. Light after completing certain stages. Item 1 gives you a platform that hovers up into the air, Item 2 lets you give the middle finger to large platforming sections, and Item 3 gives you some sort of combination of both, and it appears to be useless. These names aren't that awe-inspiring, but they do have their uses, especially Item 2. Why? Because those fucking disappearing blocks are back. Why are these things back? Just why? These platforming sections are what Item 2 is made for. Without Item 2, you're at the mercy of the worst onslaught of disappearing blocks in Heat Man stage, where you're constantly over either an instant-kill fire pit or a bottomless pit. Fuck! Damn it! Shit! Ha! Got it, you son of a bitch! Speaking of shitty things in stages, let's take a look at Quickman stage. Heatman stage was bad, but it doesn't even compare to the bullshit of Quickman stage. There are these beams that will insta-kill Megaman, and you will have to navigate a gauntlet of these with insanely strict timing. Flashman's ability to freeze time is basically required to get through this stage, and even then when you use it is important because you will run out of energy if you use it at the start of the gauntlet, even with full energy. Now that the Robot Masters are taken care of, let's take on Dr. Wily again in his Wily Fortress. These stages are not nearly as brutal as the Wily stages from the first game, but they do have their moments of difficulty. The worst stage is probably Wily Fortress 3, where you're traversing an underwater section filled with spike balls. These are also encountered in Bubble Man stage, and just like in that stage, Megaman will die instantly if he so much as scrapes his robotic ass hairs on one of these spikes. Not to mention that the water makes your jumps much higher, so it's very easy to high-five the spikes on the ceiling with your face. In terms of bosses, they're all pretty easy and don't offer too much of a challenge. That is all except for the boss at the end of Wily Fortress 4. You need to have full Crash Bomb energy to take out these turrets with a limited number of shots within a very specific order. Mess up the shots or the order, and you're not beating this boss. And if you die, you start right back in front of the boss without Crash Bomb energy required to defeat them. That is shit design for a game like this. Afterward, we have a rematch against all the Robot Masters, but since we're pimped out with new weapons like before, we can easily take them down. Wait, Metal Man is weak to his own weapon? Works for me. Once the Robot Masters are curve stomped, we can meet Wily in battle again. Just a side note, make sure you have at least one E-Tank with you for this fight, because this Wily machine tends to do a number on Mega Man, making death pretty easy. After Dr. Wily is defeated, he flies off in an attempt to get away, with Mega Man in hot pursuit. We find ourselves in what is legitimately a pretty damn creepy cave, devoid of music of any kind. And at the end of it, we confront Dr. Wily once more. What the flying fuck? Okay, so Dr. Wily was an alien this whole time? No matter. Let's bubble this alien bitch to extinction. Ha! How do you like them apples, you little... Oh. Oh. Okay. That's pretty fucking funny. So the alien was a fake and the real Dr. Wily once again falls to his knees and starts to beg for forgiveness. And Mega Man decides to leave once again. Wait, what? He left again? What, did Mega Man get distracted by a shiny object or something? So putting aside yet another bullshit ending, Mega Man 2 is definitely a step up as a sequel. The look of the game improves, gameplay is smoother, and the music is just too damn good. Even with some of the harder points of the game, I still look forward to those sick beats and the amazing visuals. Except for the beginning of Bubble Man stage, which looks a bit nauseating. Most of the stages overall have been eased up quite a bit in terms of difficulty, with only a couple exceptions. Some technical problems you will likely encounter are sprite flickering and slowdown, with slowdown being more frequent because the metal blades will wreck many enemies at once, with items almost constantly dropping. But if there's one thing about the game I would classify as an absolute problem for gameplay, it would definitely be the boss of Wily Fortress 4. There's a lot of bullshit you can encounter in stages as well as the Robot Masters, but the game does offer ways to work around them, like using item 2 to get through the disappearing blocks, or by using Flashman's ability to get through Quickman's stage. The boss turrets on the other hand is basically a do or die scenario, and it can't really be repeated unless you get a game over. And speaking of game overs, Mega Man 2 also offers a password feature, so even though you can't save like in Mega Man 1, at least you can still back up your progress. Still though, despite some of the flaws with Mega Man 2, what it improves upon does in fact vastly outweigh the problems. Because of the various improvements, I can say that I would give Mega Man 2 a recommendation, with only one exception. Like I mentioned earlier, the game does offer workarounds for the harder, more bullshit stages, so it's probably a good idea to research the means to make those stages easier, such as where to get item 2 in order to bypass the disappearing blocks, or the best way to route Flashman quickly so you can make Quickman's stage easier, and probably the most important, the correct order to defeat the boss turrets in Wily Fortress 4. Still, if there's one thing I can end with, it's this. Metal blades are the key to conquering the world. Unless you fight a guy that's also using metal blades. In that case, you're probably gonna be his bitch. This has been Regnilla, wishing you to have fun, and I'm gonna get me some metal blades. Take care, people.